Hi everyone, I'm very sorry that I can't be there in person today, or at least live online, but I'm very happy that I got a chance to record my talk, and thank you so much to the organizers for putting together this really important event and for inviting me to be part of it. So I thought I would share some thoughts on work-life balance today because that's a topic that I've had to think a lot about and that I hope will be helpful for some of you as well. So just a little bit about me. I am currently a postdoc. I have a 3-year postdoc that's funded by the Swedish Research Council, and it's allowed me to spend time in Belgium at UC Louvain, and also in the US at Northern Arizona University, and in Sweden at Uppsala University. And just in terms of my general research interests, I am interested in learning corpus research primarily, in corpus linguistics. So second language writing, one of my main interests, register variation, research methods. So this is kind of me in research mode here. But then I think this is really important to keep in mind and make sure that we have some. I also have some non-academic interests. So this is me in rock climbing mode, and also very interested in hiking, photography. I used to play basketball, now I just play for fun, and also watch some games and so on. So just a bit of background as to why I got interested in thinking more kind of in a more structured way about work-life balance and so on. So when I was a PhD student, I just worked all the time. And I was in a relationship at the time, and he's an academic, and we both kind of worked all the time. We never really got a chance to see each other and do fun things, and we always kind of felt guilty about not working and so on. So eventually we realized that, okay, this is not going to work. It's not good for us individually. It's not good for the relationship. It's not good for our work, honestly, either. So we came up with a rule, and we've been broken up now for some 3 years, but we still adhere to this rule and make sure to keep each other accountable for it. So the rule is very simple. It's just that we don't ever work after 6 p.m. It doesn't matter what, like no matter what. It doesn't matter what the deadline is or how important whatever we do is. And what this does is that it offers huge guilt relief. So before, when we weren't working, we were kind of feeling guilty that we should be working or whatever. And now, honestly, I would feel guilty if I were to work after 6 p.m. And that means that we have every single evening off. And that hasn't really happened since I was, I don't know, middle school or something. And so that's fantastic. It frees up a lot of time. And also having this kind of end point is helpful in that, sure, there are times when we need to work a lot, but then we can get up early. And that's when I have my productive time anyway. And this is not really part of the rule, but just a bit of an addition, and that is if we have to work on a weekend, try not to, but then we only do fun tasks, which makes working on the weekend a bit more fun. And I think in general, what I'm saying here is that I would really, really recommend trying to find a way of being in academia, a way of working in academia that works for you. So sure, we have our 6 p.m. rule, but maybe it would be better for you to have an 8 p.m. rule. Maybe, no work before 11 a.m. or something. Maybe no work over the lunch break or something like that. So just, I would highly recommend trying to find something that works for you. And as we all know, this whole, working 80-hour weeks or even 60-hour weeks, just not getting enough sleep, being stressed all the time is not good for anyone. It doesn't suit anyone. It's not sustainable. So if you feel like you're one of the people who work a little bit too much, then definitely try to think about ways of trying to cut back a bit on the work and spend a bit more time on other things, non-work things. And the thing to remember here is that once a habit has been formed, it's kind of hard to break, right? So we want to make sure that the habits that we do form are the kind of habits we want to have formed for us, if that makes sense. And I think a lot of us get stuck in this thinking that, oh, if I only get this thing done, then I'll take time off, or then I'll spend time with my friends or my family, or and so on. And the thing is just that we kind of never get caught up in academia, or it's very rarely happens, at least, because there's always something. We can always, do a better job at preparing a class, or we can always start a new project and write up a new article or something. So I think it's a bit dangerous to have this be kind of on the horizon all the time, that if only I get this done, if only, when that kind of tends never to happen, which means that you're perhaps never able to see your friends as much as you'd like to, for example. To put a positive spin on it, if you never get fully caught up, it means that you always have things to do, which is nice. It never gets boring, and that's something that I really like about this job. So let me just move myself here so we can see. Just 3 questions here. The first one is, so when we know that we should deprioritize work, our friends tell us that, our family tells us that, then why is it so hard to do so? And I think what I've realized is that there's a lot of pressure. And I don't think that this is new to any of us, but I think it's important just to kind of bring it up and talk about it. So there's external pressure, there's internal pressure from ourselves, and there's also this enthusiasm, right, for what we do. So academia and graduate school have a lot of systemic pressure built in, this heavy course load, heavy teaching loads, all this expectation to publish, all these pressure from outside of some sort. Could be from advisors, from other faculty members, even from other students, because you don't want to fall behind or whatever it might be. And then there's also this internal pressure, which might in some cases be perhaps worse than the external pressure. We want to do well. I think most of us who are in our, I know that I've seen the light. No, but I'm kind of on the other side now in that I have my PhD, but still, we people in academia have this wish to do well in general, because most of us are these kind of high achievers and whatever that means. But so we want to do well. We might want to prove ourselves. We might want to avoid failing, right? And this is added pressure that leads us to work a bit more perhaps than we should. And the problem with this pressure is that it tends to lead to guilt, right? And this tends to lead to this feeling that when we don't work, so when we do take time off, finally, we feel this pressure, we feel this guilt that, I should be working, and then taking time off isn't actually that enjoyable anymore. And that's part of the reason why my ex and I came up with that rule of 6 o'clock, where we try to just make sure that anything before 6 p.m. is work. Assuming we can of course take time off earlier, but and then anything after is non-work, is free time, is hobbies, is friends, is family, is all that, and that's a way of releasing guilt. And then, so why is it so hard for us to work less? Well, we're enthusiastic about what we do, right? So it's kind of hard to spend less time on something we love, right? And on that note, so second question out of 3 is, why would we want to deprioritize work if we can make the system and our superiors and ourselves happy if we were to prioritize it? What are the benefits really of not doing as much work? And I think in general, you might have to just think about answers that apply to your life here. I don't have any general answers here. But there are some things that I think that are true for more or less everyone. And 3 things here. The first one is just improved mental and physical health. Both are really key for sustainable lifestyle. Second, a richer personal life. We have time then to devote to friends, to family, to hobbies, and just general relaxation. And also a more enjoyable work situation. If you limit the time you spend working, then you'll find it all the more enjoyable when you do. So in my case, I tend to be really excited to go to work in the morning because I was working on something that I was really eager to finish, and then 6 o'clock came and I couldn't finish it. And then I'm like, okay, really ready to get back to work in the morning again. And I didn't really have that feeling before. So how can we then work toward achieving healthy work-life balance? And I think the first step here is deciding that you actually want to do it, which might seem like an easy choice. It wasn't for me though. At first, at least, I had to kind of get used to the idea and try to think, okay, what would the benefits be, and so on. Because I mean, kind of my work was kind of my hobby there for a bit. And once you've decided that, okay, this is for me, I want to actually make a change here, then I would recommend trying to change your habits. And one way to do that would be to set up rules that help you distinguish between work and free time the way I did and the way that worked really well for me. But it may not work for other people. It's really up to you to decide what will be helpful for you. And I think in general, regardless of whether you have rules or not, you need to have some strategies really to enable you to handle situations as they come up. So I wouldn't say I'm tempted perhaps every day, but almost every day I feel like, okay, it's 6 o'clock, but I'm still not done with all these tasks, so I'm just going to keep working. And then I'm like, no, actually, no. And then so far, I actually haven't done so. At some point, I've just kind of lost track of time, but then it wasn't at least a conscious decision. So I have tried to very, very hard to stop working at 6 p.m. and so far I've been successful. And also, I think it's good to be more forgiving towards yourself and just try to calibrate your performance vis-a-vis the importance of the task and the deadline. So maybe not, and this is something that's hard for people who are very, they have very high standards. And so but anyway, the point being that it would be really good to try to make sure that some tasks get a bit more time than others, and that's a way of saving time. And also, and I think this is an important one, I think it would be great if we could stop comparing ourselves to this ideal academic, because that person doesn't actually exist, and all we have to work with is ourselves, and that's who we would, ideally want to spend a lot of time with. So I hope that this has been helpful for at least some of you, and I'm very happy to answer questions. Feel free to contact me. Here's my website and my Twitter account, and I wish you all the best for your future careers and with your work-life balance. Thank you very much.